So I've already covered, ideal product criteria, or at least some general guidelines. And you may be wondering, well, Sumner, are there any products as a new seller that I should be avoiding? Anything that would be bad for me to sell? And the answer is absolutely yes. There are certain products that I highly recommend that you avoid. These are all, by the way, products that I have and will continue to avoid if you're selling, for your first time on Amazon. So that's number one. Number two, what I want to mention is that there are sellers who are kind of breaking each of these rules that I have, okay, that are generating solid or very, very good monthly revenue and profit, okay? So you may be thinking, well, Sumner, if there are people who are succeeding with this, why would you tell us to recommend staying away? I'll go into more detail about each of these in just a second. But basically, the overall premise is if you're a new seller and you source products, any of the products here on this list, you reduce your chances of success. If you stay away from these products, you increase your chances of success. It's really that simple. That's all it is. But again, the decision is all completely up to you. But again, I have avoided and will continue to avoid all of these products. There are some that maybe in the future I'll think about, but if you're a new seller, definitely stay away from. And I'll go ahead and get into details now. So number one, anything breakable. So fragile, glass, ceramic mugs, anything like that. Anything that could be potentially very, very fragile. Again, you can stay away from. This could also later, when you get more experience, be a great opportunity because as you'll see, if you look at any kind of breakable type of product on Amazon, at least this is something that I've noticed consistently, there are consistently, 4-star, 3.5-star, 2.5-star even reviews or 3-star reviews left because the item arrives broken. Okay, that's why you want to avoid breakable products. So what happens is, when you have more fragile, breakable products, the chances of when you source, so if your supplier's in China, let's just say, which all of mine are, if you source a product from China to the U.S. and then to Amazon, and then Amazon goes out to the customer, right? That whole way, the more breakable or fragile your product is, the more likely it's going to break and arrive to the customer in not good condition. So what they're going to do is write a bad review and refund it. So you have to pay, Amazon for the refund, and you have to, and you got a potentially negative review. So just kind of, basically it's kind of more of a headache. But with that being said, because there's so many sellers that just don't properly package and ship products, fragile products and breakable products correctly, this could be an opportunity for you. And I'd recommend maybe when you have some more experience to launch a more fragile product, and take a lot of care and attention to the packaging to make sure that when it arrives, that it arrives intact as expected. Okay, so it could actually be an opportunity, and any of these could actually kind of be an opportunity if you turn it around that way. But again, if it's your first time, it's just more of a headache to deal with than you need to. And there are literally, guys, and something else guys and gals, something I want to point out is that there are infinite, not 1,000, not 1,000,000, not 1,000,000,000. There are infinite products, okay, that you can sell and that will generate profit, that you can generate income for, okay, that do not break any of these rules, okay, like infinite. There are thousands, millions, okay, and obviously many are better than others, right? But I just want to keep that in mind too. That just keep that in mind. Okay, so it's breakable. Number two, seasonal. Here's what I mean by seasonal. Okay, two things: trendy products or products that only sell well for a few months out of the year. Okay. When you have more experience, this could be a good opportunity to look into. And there are some Amazon sellers that only sell and want to sell seasonal products or trending products. For example, this is a common example, but fidget spinners, right? Something that we all know. Fidget spinners is an example of a trending product, or a trended product because it's over. But it just all of a sudden, like, fidget spinners just went crazy. People are buying them, all these different options, and then the demand just went back down, done. What I like to do when I find products is I like to find a product that's going to sell well all year round for multiple years to come. Okay, that's my strategy, and that's what I teach. That's what I'd recommend, for you. Don't you want to invest in a product that'll generate profit and income for months and months and months and months and years from now, right? Versus just a few months. Even if it's a lot of money in a few months, that's it, and they have to find something else. So it's really up to you. But also, with that being said, it's up to you. It's a little bit more in terms of forecasting, because you have to kind of know how much to order and to reorder, things like that. And when a product is very seasonal or trendy, right, and just goes up and down, it's very hard to forecast demand, and it takes some experience to kind of learn how to do. And it takes time, selling to learn how to do that. So that's why I kind of recommend staying away. Even, there's definitely opportunity in seasonal products, absolutely. And when you get more experience, you should definitely I recommend looking into it. But if there's a product that only sells well, for example, camping gear. Camping gear only sells well generally during the warmer months, during the summer months, okay? So forecasting for that could be a little bit more difficult for a first-time seller. And then also the same thing with trending products. It would be very difficult to forecast. And then also after the trend's over, you could get in too late and then just lose all your money. So I would definitely recommend, especially if it's your first time, staying away from trending products. But yeah, so those are the first two. Next, anything heavy or big. The reason for this is if it's your first time selling, you probably don't want to invest a ton of money into your first product, meaning, tens of thousands of dollars into your first product, I would assume. And that's a little bit of an exaggeration. No one really has to, but the heavier and the bigger, so the heavier, the weight, and the big, how large your product is, the more expensive it is to ship the product, potentially to produce the product, and then to store the product in Amazon's warehouse. It takes up more space. It's heavier, right? So it's going to be more, the shipping and storage is going to be more expensive, okay? So that's the only reason. If you have more capital to start out with, and again, I'm going to show you, break down all of the Amazon costs and potential product costs in my other video, but for this right now, right, I just in general recommend staying away from things that are like, several pounds, anything over 2 pounds. And again, you can calculate this out and kind of see for yourself, but anything really heavy, really big, is just going to be more expensive to ship and store. That's it, okay? Just something to keep in mind. But again, because of that, and this is something I'm literally thinking about right now, is that because of that, so many new sellers will never ever do those kind of products. And actually a lot of sellers don't do it because it's so expensive to ship an order and then to reorder and all that. You have to have a big budget for that, right? A lot of capital for that, or a decent amount. And it leaves a lot of opportunity because it's kind of like above the clouds. It's kind of like this, there's this barrier to entry, and then there's this area above that's just a lot less competitive, easier to differentiate, right? There's still high demand, right? Because there's only a few sellers selling this product. So this could actually be, this, and kind of with seasonal, but especially with this, there could actually be a lot of really great opportunity. But again, as a new seller, stay away. If you're experienced, it's something to kind of consider and think about. Number 4, electronic. Electronic products are generally, even small electronics to very complex, or have a lot of parts and a lot of functioning aspects to them. If one of those parts goes wrong, similar kind of with breakable, right? If one little thing goes wrong, if it's a little bit too humid, the package gets a little bit too hot, or one thing was missing, or whatever happens, it could result in more refunds, in more negative reviews, and just more complex of a product. Maybe if you have a background and experience in electronics, you build your own speakers and computers and stuff, this could be, this could potentially be a good option or idea for you. But if you don't, and even if you do, if you're a new seller, just generally stay away. It's very complex. There are certain regulations and rules with certain types of electronics. It can just be, again, more of a headache. And there are plenty of other great products out there that are not electronic. So there's no reason to, unless you really want to and have experience, to do that, okay? Number 5, I'm actually going to cover these two together. Let's try to speed things up for you. These together, the consumable and harmful, okay? So why not do anything consumable? 2 reasons. So one, most consumable, and this is changing with Whole Foods, since Amazon has purchased Whole Foods, which has been some time now. This is kind of changing, but the supplement, if you're familiar with supplements, basically pills that help you do whatever, help your brain, help your immune system, your colon, whatever, right? There's all supplements for, there's an app for that. Well, there's a supplement for that. The supplements industry specifically on Amazon, first of all, it's very high demand. There's very high demand and big margins and all that. More importantly, it's extremely competitive. So specifically with supplements, the consumables market on Amazon, it's highly there is a lot of regulation that you have to go through in order to be able to sell supplements and things like that, and consumable goods. So the regulations, some of these products are actually restricted Amazon products, which I'll talk about later. But it's also super competitive, and there's a lot of supplement sellers. And I don't know them personally, but I know of some sellers that have done some pretty shady things in terms of, unethical review manipulation and some other things too that I won't get into too much detail. But it's just a market you want to stay away from, especially supplements. There are some new sellers like, I want to sell a supplement. Don't. I would not recommend that selling, especially for Amazon, along with all the other regulations and things like that. Just something to kind of keep in mind. Okay, so that's for that specifically. But then also, you do not want to get sued. Okay, I'm assuming you do not want to get sued. By having a product that's consumable, so that means goes into your mouth or into a dog or a cat or a pet's mouth. When I mean consumable, I also mean topical too. So for example, there's a product I was looking at, it was a while ago, called it was like a silicone. It was basically like a piece of silicone for your chest to remove. It was like an anti-wrinkle chest pad. That's what it was called, to remove wrinkles from your chest. And I was reading through these reviews, and there are a lot of people that are having allergic reactions. That's not good. So you do not want to make a product to where the person could potentially, because you'll do your due diligence and your work to make sure everything's, up to standard and all that. But if something goes wrong, and things can go wrong, you don't want to end up like poisoning somebody or hurting somebody. Okay, so that's why I recommend especially for, there's no reason. There's so many other products. There's no reason. Like, there are plenty of other opportunities out there. No reason to source something consumable. That go, and even think about things that go on the skin. Just be careful of. It doesn't mean if it touches a human being, then I can't source it. Not that at all. But just be mindful, be careful, read through the reviews. Your product, you do not want to cause poisoning, an allergic reaction, or obviously death. Oh my gosh, which is not to scare you, and I don't want to say it likely won't, but just stay away from consumables. That's it. So there's that, and then harmful. Anything sharp. Anything, maybe even for like little babies or little kids, right? Just think about, like, could your product really end up hurting the end consumer? And you don't have to think about freak accidents like, oh my gosh, could my silicone ring, could the kid inhale it and then choke on it, right? But it could be good to think about that. But again, you don't have to go to super extreme examples, although that actually maybe wasn't a super extreme example. But anyway, just something to think about, okay? Could my product really do harm to the end user? Because again, with any of the products you sell, you'll want to get, proper, protect yourself, right? But this is a way to kind of really protect yourself. And, even if you get insurance for this, for certain types of harmful or consumable products, it's going to be very expensive. And by the way, just as a little tip, baby products are very expensive to insure because the product, even regardless if it's dangerous or not, I know sellers who have certain types of products that I could not see them harming the baby whatsoever unless it's a freak accident, and the insurance is still very high for them. So if you just think, could it harm? Is it for little children? Is it for really, maybe really, really old people? And, whatever. It could likely do harm. Sharp, dangerous, and flammable, dangerous in some way. Consider avoiding that type of product. And it kind of depends, just something to keep in mind. All right, moving along. Anything under $12, generally want to avoid that. I've done a lot of research into this. I've gone back and forth on launching certain products that were under $12, and I never ended up doing that. The reason? Because it is very hard to make any money on Amazon with products that are under $12, because there's a certain Amazon FBA fee that's basically 15% of your sale. Well, actually, sorry, it's 15% of your sale price. There's a certain point to where it doesn't go any lower. For example, if you charge something for $1, your Amazon FBA fee isn't 15 cents. It's like $1. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, long story short, and when I talk about product cost breakdown and Amazon fees and Amazon cost breakdown, this will make more sense. But generally, you can do the research for yourself. You'll find the same thing that I found multiple times over. Products that are under $12 tend to be very hard to generate profit off of. Okay, that's just a general rule of thumb. But again, there could be opportunity in here. There could be good opportunity to generate profit depending on the product. So just general rule of thumb, do your own research though in this category. There could be other opportunities. Finally, I know, long-awaited end, restricted products. Here's what I mean by restricted products, okay? Anything, so if you have a product that is, okay, let me describe this correctly, okay? Anything that's patented, anything that's trademarked, or anything that's on the Amazon restricted product list, you want to avoid. So, and I'm going to show you how to avoid those products. So don't worry, don't be like, oh, Summer, how do I do that? I'm going to show you how to do that later, not in this video. But, so obviously there are certain utility and design patents. So if someone has a patent and you infringe on that patent, they could sue you. So you don't want to get sued. So you want to avoid those types of products. Or, at the lowest kind of worst case scenario, they just remove your listing, or even your Amazon seller account could get shut down. So you want to avoid anything that's patented, infringing on patents. And I'll show you how to do that. Number 2, anything trademarked. So your brand, your product name, your company name, your brand name, you want to make sure that you're not infringing on an existing trademark that exists and that's live and that's registered, okay? Because again, you could get sued or you get your account shut down, all that. And then finally, literally the Amazon restricted product list. So Amazon has a list of products that you cannot sell on the platform. You are not allowed. If you try, you'll get shut down. It's that simple. And they have an entire list. Again, I'll share that with you in the video where I talk about patents and trademarks and all that. But they have a list of products, and they literally go step by step. You cannot sell this, and they have a list. And it all makes sense. It's a lot of flammable, dangerous. I think maybe certain gambling products, alcohol, right? Pretty. A lot of it's straightforward. However, there are a good amount of products that you wouldn't intuitively think about. So it's very good to make sure that you go through the Amazon restricted product list and make sure that the product that you're selling is not prohibited or restricted. Now, with that being said, the Amazon, in the sense of Amazon restricted products specifically, there's actually opportunity because there are certain products that are restricted, and to get unrestricted or ungated, you need to provide you need to get some certifications, go through certain processes, etc. So there are certain products that you can sell, but there's a process you need to go through first, and that could actually be an opportunity. Even as a first-time seller, that could be a good opportunity. But just make sure that it's not prohibited. Okay, if the product is prohibited on Amazon, it doesn't matter who you are or what you do, you can't sell that. If it's patented, you can sell that, but you get sued. One thing you could do is actually approach the company, work out a licensing deal to where you can actually sell their product in there or use their patent in some ways. You can work out a negotiation with them, but if it's your first time selling, there's no reason to do that unless you really want to or feel there's a need to. You can definitely do that. And then trademark, you don't want to infringe on any trademarks. Really straightforward. You don't want to get sued. You want to make money safely, right? That's what you want to do. Then follow these criteria and yeah, it'll really, reduce your chances of harm and increase your likelihood of success. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Let's go ahead and get into the next video.